Hello guys! We are in a different room today. I'm in front of my bookshelf because today's video I'm going to be reviewing every single book that I read in 2023. I'm very excited to film this because I love watching these. I feel like it's just fun to have all the books that you read in a year in one video. I read 151 books in 2023. My goal was 100, so I hit that. But how many books you read does not matter as long as you're reading books that you love. And I feel like I read so many good books in 2023. I have my notes for every month of the year and I'm going to go through it, tell you a very brief review of the book. I'm not gonna tell you the summary, it's just gonna be too much. So I'm just gonna tell you my thoughts, probably my rating that I did rate it might have changed. If I don't have a rating, I'll tell you. Also, I think I'm gonna tell you the spice for every single one of these books because I'm just looking at the post that I made for each month on Bookstagram. I have it in my notes, so I have the spice rating available. So let's get started, shall we? First, I read Reveal Me, which I think is the last novella in this bind up in the Shadow Me series. 4 stars. Loved it so much. I love the Shadow Me series. I read most of it in 2022 and finished it in 2023. And then I read the last full-length book in the Shadow Me series, Imagine Me. I gave this 4 stars. Really loved it. I mean, I just love the series so much. This wasn't a favorite in the series, but I did tap some of it. And I just love every book in the series so much. It's so good. Like, if you haven't read the series, you should. Next, I read In the Weeds and Mixed Signals by B.K. Borison. I love both of these. I gave them both 4.5 stars. And oh, I didn't even tell you, the Shadow Me series has like minimal spice. They're YA, so they're very mild / no spice, but I feel like they have more spice than a typical YA. And then In the Weeds and Mixed Signals do have spice, but I gave them 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed them. I love the series and I'm very excited for the next one to come out. And then I read the last novella in the Shadow Me series. I gave this 5 stars. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite books in the Shadow Me series. Next, I read A Risk Gone Forever by N.S. Perkins. I gave this 4.5 stars. I feel like this was one of those books that I just like binge. I feel like all of N.S. Perkins books, I always binge. I really enjoyed this, but I haven't really thought about it since, and it does have a little bit of spice. So I do recommend it. I love her book so much, but this wasn't one of my favorites of hers. Running Wild by Kay Tucker, which is the last book in the Simple Wild series. This follows a different character than the other books in the series, and it's probably my least favorite. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but I didn't care about this romance as much as I loved the other books, but I just love being in Alaska, reading about it. It's really fun. So there's some spice in Running Wild. Next, I read A Dream On by Angie Hockman, and I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. And it was just so fun. Like, I feel like it was different than most romances that I read. And I haven't heard much about it. I think that you should definitely read this. I feel like it was like one of my favorites of the year, one of my favorite romances. Really loved it. It is closed door until the epilogue, and there's only like 1 page in the epilogue that's not closed door. Next, I read ACOTAR, Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I did do a whole reading vlog on this book and I gave it 3 stars. I didn't love it overall. I just didn't love the series very much, but I did like enjoy it. Like, I had a good time reading it, but I just didn't really connect with the characters. But obviously everyone loves the ACOTAR series. It does have spice in it. This series is not YA. Next, I read Speechless by Lindsay Lanza. I gave this 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. I love this author so much. I feel like she's just such a good writer. This was her debut novel. I loved it. It was so good. Mild spice. I did a reread of Daisy Jones and the Six because the show was coming out. I gave it 5 stars, of course. And I just love this book so much. It's literary fiction and I think everyone should read it. Like, when I think of a book that I could recommend to anyone and probably anyone would like it, boy, girl, young, old, I feel like it's Daisy Jones and the Six. It's so good, so interesting, so entertaining. And the show is incredible. And it is closed door. There's no spice in that. Next is Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, the 2nd book in the ACOTAR series. I gave this 4 stars. This is my favorite in the series, and I did really enjoy it. I tapped a lot of it. The romance that we got in this, I really enjoyed, but it still didn't like stand out to me as like a favorite fantasy, but out of the whole series, this is my favorite. And there is spice in this book. Quite a bit, I'd say. And I also did a reading vlog reading Akamoth and Akawar, but it does have spoilers in it. Next, I read Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings. 4 stars, really enjoyed this. Just a fun, quick read. And it has spice and lots of innuendos. Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. I'm just getting the new covers because it's gonna be so hard to get the old ones. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. This is what really like sold me on the Magnolia Parks universe. I read Magnolia Parks in 2021 when it came out. Didn't love it because my expectations were not, like, I was expecting a fun romance and it's not what it was. But I heard so many good things about this, so I picked it up and I loved it so much. I love Daisy Hates part of this series, and this is one of my favorite series of all time. Highly recommend, but we all know. It's basically closed door, but there are innuendos. One thing that you'll find, I feel like, with Jessa Hastings' books is when there is a spicy scene, she's very metaphorical, so you're not really getting any explicit details. But there is quite a bit of innuendos in this book. Lastly, in January, I read, where's it at? I put it over here because it's not on the shelf. Boundaries and Goodbyes by Lucy Tarkerse. I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I love Lucy Tarkerse books. This is a faith, like nonfiction. Now let's move on to February. I read Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home, and it literally wrecked me. I also have a reading vlog reading this. I gave it 5 stars. These books are just so, like, so good, but so painful. And I love it so much. So mostly no spice, but has profanity. Next, I read Would You Rather by Allison Ashley. This was my first book by her, and I really love this as well. I think these next few I read in a romance reading vlog. I like flew through this. I couldn't put it down, and it made me really love this author, and I feel like she's one of my favorites of all time, so I highly recommend this. It has very minimal spice, but I've heard it's closed door, and there was a few. I think there was a spicy scene or 2, but I tabbed the heck out of it. I gave it 4.5 stars. Really loved it. Next, I got an arc of Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. Also have a reading vlog of this. I love this book so much. One of my favorites of the year. Highly recommend. Closed door, 5 stars. Literally so good. Next, I read Daisy Hates The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings, also in a romance reading vlog. 5 stars, my favorite in the series. My favorite book of the entire year. I have a top 10 books of the year video already up. But I love this book so much. Also, it's so fun to hold up the new covers. I think they're so beautiful. I think about this book and I just, oh, it was so good. 5 stars. Incredible. Next is My Phony Valentine by Courtney Walsh. I rated this 4.75 stars. Also read it in the reading vlog. I love this book so much. I feel like it's my favorite of Courtney Walsh's books. I don't know what it was. I just love this book so much and I think about it a lot. If you want just a happy time, especially as Valentine's Day is coming up because it's around Valentine's Day, highly recommend this book. So good. And it is closed door. Next, I read What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. I got an arc of this. I rated it 3.75 stars, but I'd probably give it like 3 stars. It was just like, I needed more romance and I was like pretty bored. Is YA. So no spice. What's More the Feeling by Alyssa Sussman. I gave this 4.5 stars, but the more I think about it, the more that I have like a couple annoyances with the female main character, but overall I binged this and I really loved her first book, Funny You Should Ask. I didn't love this one as much, but there's definitely that bingeable quality about her books, and I love a celebrity romance, so I did really love this book. There is mild spice in this. Next, I read Before I Do by Sophie Cousins. I gave this 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it. I feel like I learned a lot in this book, and I just love Sophie Cousins' books, so closed door, highly recommend. A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This was painful. Like, it was so difficult for me to get through this book. I have a reading vlog on it, but it was just so boring for the majority of this book. There's like one scene that I think fondly about. Besides that, it was so boring. But a lot of people love the series. I was just so bored. I gave it 2 stars. It is spicy, but not a fan. Not a big fan of that. Next, I read Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake by Maisie Eddings, I think. This is the second book after A Brush with Love. Really enjoyed this as well. I gave it 4 stars. Probably enjoyed it more than the first one. I feel like I enjoy the series more as it progresses, and it is spicy. Then I read A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, the holiday or like winter novella in the Actor series. 3 stars. It was okay. But since I wasn't like invested in the characters, I just didn't really care. I think that might probably have spice in it. I can't remember. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.75 stars, but I'd probably give it like 4.5 because I don't really think about it. But I did really enjoy it. Small town mystery, like kind of suspense. It's really good. Very spicy, by the way. Now we're on to March. I read The Two of Us by Taylor Torres. Gave it 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed this book. It's such a good second chance romance. Childhood friends to lovers. Minimal spice. Then I read The Plus One by Maisie Eddings, which is the next book after Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake. My favorite in the series. I gave it 4.5 stars. I love this book and I think about it and really, really loved it. Decent amount of spice in that one. Defy the Night by Bridget Kimmerer. I love this book. It was so good. I read a good bit of fantasy in 2023 and I feel like this was kind of the start of that. I mean, I read ACOTAR, but I feel like I specifically read a lot of YA fantasy and this is one of those. This is like a kingdom fantasy and it's very easy to understand. Very like action packed. Like I didn't want to put this book down. I gave it 5 stars. And I just love this series, so highly recommend if you're looking for an easy fantasy to get into. Really enjoyed this, and the 3rd book comes out this month. I'm so excited. So this has no spice because it's YA. Next, I read Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score, which I gave 4.75 stars. Also probably bumped that down to 4.5. I feel like the first 2 I enjoyed probably about the same. I feel like it was a little slow at the beginning, but I love these books. They're just so fun to read, and it has a lot of spice. So then I read The Godparent Trap by Rachel Van Dyken. I actually really, really love this. I think about this very fondly. I had a good time reading this. It is sad a little bit, but I still like just binged it. It was so good. 4.5 stars, 1 spicy scene that you can easily skip over. Then I read I Can Fix That by Juliana Smith. 5 stars. I love this book. One of my favorites by her. It's so good. I love her books. They're closed door, but the chemistry's so good. She's so funny. I love her books. I read Built to Last by Erin Hahn. Didn't love this book. I did tab a good bit of it because I loved the writing and the quotes, but it just didn't like hook me. I think it's like a second chance romance, and one of them is a celebrity, which I would think I would love, but I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was still like good. That's not a bad book. I should have said like 3.5 stars isn't a bad book. I just didn't love it. Next, I read Per My Last Email by Juliana Smith. 5 stars, closed door. Loved this book. It's a workplace romance, friends to lovers. I usually don't like workplace romance, but I love this. It was so good. I read the second book in the Defy the Night series, Defend the Dawn, by Bridget Kimmerer. I love this. I gave it 4.5 stars. Didn't love it as much as Defy the Night, but it was so good in the end. It makes me so excited for the third book to come out in a couple weeks, or like less than 2 weeks. I'm so excited. Also, I feel like these books are just so beautiful. So this is no Spice YA. Really, really enjoyed it. Next, I read Better Than Fiction by, I can't remember who. I didn't like this. The plot, like summary sounds so good, but I just did not like it. I think I give it 3 stars, but I'd probably give it a 2. Like there's not much anything I liked about it. Probably some spice, but I don't remember anything about this book. So that's what I wrote down. I read Call It What You Want by Bridget Kimmerer. Really love this. Gave it 4.75 stars. Just a fast-paced YA emotional romance. I love Bridget Kimmerer's books. So good. Next, I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I actually love this book so much. I gave it 4 stars, but I had like tried to read this a couple times and DNF'd it and then picked it up and finished it. And I really, really enjoyed it. I think about this book like, I feel like more than her other books besides Happy Place, but I only gave it 4 stars. But I still love this book. It was so good. There is a little bit of spice, but it's second chance romance. So good. Really love this. Great for spring and summer, along with all of her books I love for. Okay, now we're on to April. I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Love this book. It was so good. I think I gave it 5 stars. The romance in this was just so good. It was just such a beautiful story. I binged it. So magical. I love her writing. Highly recommend. There's a little spice in this. I reread Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Love this. 5 stars. One of my favorite books. One of my favorite authors, and I was rereading it in preparation for Yours Truly to come out, which I had already read in archive, but I reread it before it came out. 5 stars, one of my favorite books of all time. Like, please read these. They're so good. There's a little bit of spice, not a ton, but they're just so good. Next, I read Our Final Love Song by Ines Perkins. I gave this 5 stars. I think it's my favorite of her books. It's set in the summer at a summer camp like Camp Rock. Really good. Some spice in that. Oh wait, I read that before I reread Yours Truly. Oh well, it's fine. Next, I read Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I love this, gave it 5 stars. One of my favorites by Colleen Hoover. I personally, like, even after I've read all these books, I still enjoy Colleen Hoover's books. And I feel like she's really good at writing about hard topics, and I really love this one. I gave it 5 stars. And there's very minimal spice in this book, but I feel like there's definitely some emotion invoked in Colleen Hoover's books. And this was no exception to that. Then I read Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, the first book in the series. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't love it, but I had hope for the rest of the series, and I'm glad I did. So I also was kind of in a slump at this point, so it was a little hard for me to get through it. And it was specifically hard for me to get through The Ballad of Never After, which I had read next, which currently has my dust jacket on it for A Curse for True Love, but this is The Ballad of Never After. I gave this 4.5 stars because of the end. I really love the end, but the beginning I was pretty bored. And it took me like a week to finish this book because I was so bored. It's not A Curse for True Love. Just imagine it says, oh, I guess I can just pull this out. Just imagine this. It's The Ballad of Never After. I have this on here because I wanted to take a photo of all of the editions I have of A Curse for True Love because I'm absurd. They're YA books, super easy to understand, but they were a little slow until I got to the end of The Ballad of Never After. Next, Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. Really enjoyed this, 4.25 stars, maybe 4 stars. Don't really remember, like I don't think about this book, but I had a good time reading it. And it's very spicy. Cursed, Dark, and Lonely by Bridget Kimmerer. I gave it 4.5 stars, probably 4 stars or 4.25 because I don't think about it and I didn't continue the series. So it didn't hook me enough to continue the series. YA, no spice. Then I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. I gave this 5 stars. Honestly, like, could have been a favorite of the year, like in my top 10. I really love this. I just don't think about it. Like, when I'm just sitting and thinking about books, this one doesn't come to mind. But when I think about it, I think, oh my goodness, I love this book and I love these quotes. So 5 stars, a little bit of spice. Oh, it's so good. May. Let's get on into May. Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I was pretty disappointed with this book. I gave it 4 stars initially and then I bumped it down to 3 because I binged it. I feel like I read it really fast, but I didn't love the romance in it. And there's one trope in it that drove me bananas. I was like, why is this here? So, kind of disappointed in this. There is some spice in this book. Next, I reread Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams because I love this book so much. 5 stars. So good. My pre-order came in and I had to read it. The Upside of Falling by Alex Light, 4.25 stars, 4 stars, a quick YA read, really enjoyed. I read pretty much all the Eden series that was out, Indigo Ridge, Juniper Hill, Garden Flats. And I'll just go ahead and talk about Jasper Vale. My favorites are Indigo Ridge and Juniper Hill. In this section, I gave Indigo Ridge 4.5 stars, Juniper Hill 4.75 stars, Garnet Flats 3.75, and Jasper Vale 4. I probably bumped down Garnet Flats to a 3.5 and Jasper Vale down to a 3.75. But really enjoyed the series, so fun. Small town, romantic suspenses, really, really good. The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, 4.25 stars. Really enjoyed this actually. It's probably one of my favorite romances. It was just so good and so fun, and there's a little spice in that. Then I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I gave this 4.5 stars initially, but it's probably a 4-star. It was good and fun. I had a good time reading it, but I don't think about it, and it's definitely not a favorite fantasy of mine, but I did get the beautiful spread edition. If you watched our vlog, me, Allie, and Reagan's vlog in Nashville, we went to get this there. It was so fun. Then I read Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter, the first book before The Love Wager. Gave this 3.75 stars, didn't love it. Has some spice. Then I read The Edens, a legacy short story. Good, it was like 50 pages, a little spice. And it's about the parents of the Edens. Then I read The Bride by Bethany Perry, 3.5 stars. Good, not memorable, nothing special about it, and it is spicy. Now let's go to June. I was in my cowboy era. I read all of the Chestnut Spring series, besides Hopeless, that wasn't out yet. So I read Flawless, 4.5 stars. Heartless, 4.5 stars. Powerless, my favorite of the series, 5 stars. Reckless, my least favorite of the series, 2 stars. They're all very spicy, but I really enjoy the series. It's so fun. Then I read Crimson River by Bethany Perry, the next book in the Eden series, 4.25 stars. Really enjoyed, really loved the suspense. Didn't love the romance as much, but it was really good. A couple spicy scenes in that. I read I Think He Knows by Katie Bailey, 4.25 stars. Closed Door, really loved this. Best Friends to Lovers, celebrity romance, so good. Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, 4.25 stars. Would definitely probably bump that down to 4 stars because I don't think about this book, but it was good, it was fun, a couple spicy scenes in that. The Good Part by Sophie Cousins, 5 stars. Love this book, probably one of my favorites of the year as well. And it's Closed Door, and you just learn so much from this book. I loved it. Then I reread Magnolia Parks by Jessica Hastings. I love this book. Like when I first read it, I didn't love it, but rereading it, it was so fun and so painful, and I just loved it so much. So I'm so happy that I reread it and annotated my other copy, and now I have the new covers, but loved it so much. I just love also the shininess of these covers. They're beautiful. Then I read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Gave this 4 stars. But like I feel like there's a difference in some of my 4 stars because this is like one of my favorite romances. Like I really love Icebreaker, especially if you're wanting something spicy because this is very spicy. But I just kind of skipped that and really enjoyed it. I love Hannah Grace's writing and just the way she writes romances. Highly recommend if you want something spicy. It is very spicy, but loved it so much. 4 stars. Maybe 4.25. It was really good. Now we're into July. I read Divine Arrivals by Rebecca Ross. 5 stars, one of my favorite books of the year as well. I'm saying this because I feel like it's fun to hear what I didn't put in my top 10 because these would be like honorable mentions. But this is just such a sweet romance. I loved it, or like historical fantasy romance. It's so good. Highly recommend this book. It's, oh, I loved it so much. It is YA, so no spice. Then I read Perfect Distraction by Allison Ashley, 4.25 stars. Really enjoyed this. It's Closed Door, medical aspect. I love Allison Ashley's books. Then we're into my Throne of Glass era. I read The Assassin's Blade, literally one of my favorites in the series. I gave it 4.5 stars. But I think about this book and the pain that it caused me all the time. It's YA, there's no spice, and pretty much any of the Throne of Glass books that used to be published as YA. So I don't remember any scene that was spicy in these books. There might be like innuendos or insinuations, but there's no like spicy explicit things that I remember. So one of my favorites in the series. Throne of Glass is one of my favorite series of the year. Next is A Cross Country Wedding by Courtney Walsh, 4 stars. Really enjoyed this. Closed Door. It was just a fun, quick read, and I love Courtney Walsh's books. Next, Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. 4 stars, really enjoyed this. Didn't love it as much as The Assassin's Blade, but still like a fun time. I don't think I rated any of the Throne of Glass books less than 4 stars. They're just all so much fun, and I loved the way that I read them, the order I read them, so love. Then I read Crown of Midnight, 4.5 stars. One of my favorites in the series. So good. I think about this book and I tabbed the heck out of it. It was, oh, I loved it so much. You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. Did not like this book in the slightest. The last 100 pages are better. I still didn't like it. 2.5 stars, not great. Pretty sure there's spice, but I blocked it out, so I don't know. Next, I read Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Throne of Glass book. I gave this 4 stars. The beginning is pretty slow, but once the tabs start, it was getting good. So really enjoyed this, but it was just a bit slow at the beginning because you're learning a lot more information. Then I read The Roommate Pact by Allison Ashley, one of my favorite books of the year, in my top 5. It's just so good. Love this. Closed Door, great romance. Oh, I binged it. It was incredible. Next, I read Queen of Shadows Gave this 5 stars. Well, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites in the series, but I feel like just overall from beginning to end, it was the most like action-packed. I think that's why I gave it 5 stars. I don't really know, but I loved it. Like, it was so good. I feel like this book was like insane. So much happened, and it's not like those usually with Sarah J. Maas's books, you're waiting till the end for the action to happen. So much action happens the entire time in this book. So good. Then I read Little Magic by Lindsay Lanza. I gave it 5 stars. I love this book. I thought it was so good. Such a good Christmassy winter second chance romance, childish friends to lovers. And it has some spice. Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I love this, 4.5 stars. It was pretty spicy, but it was just so sweet and cute, and I loved it so much. Now we are getting into August. First, I read Son to Me by Cleopatra Margot. This is Closed Door. I gave it 4 stars. It was good. A good time. Then I read Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. Gave this 4 stars. Closed Door. This was good, but nothing like in your face. I liked The Bodyguard more than this book, but I did enjoy it. Next, I read Tower of Dawn. I did try to do the tandem and I failed. I just stopped doing it and continued with Tower of Dawn, and then I read Empire of Storms. So I recommend that order, but I do recommend not reading the epilogue of Tower of Dawn until you read Empire of Storms, because it will ruin the end of Empire of Storms. But I did enjoy reading this first. It's one of my favorites in the series as well. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. But like I said, one of my favorites in the series. I loved it so much. Then I read Empire of Storms, and I gave it 4.5 stars, but I'd probably give it 4 stars because I didn't love it as much as Tower of Dawn. But it was good. A lot happens. The end broke me. Then I read this brick that is Kingdom of Ash. I gave it 5 stars. Such a good ending to the series. So many emotions. It was just brutal, but so good. So beautiful. I loved it. And I have a reading blog, spoiler reading blog, reading the last 3 books of the Throne of Glass series. So if you want to watch that, you can, but so good. Such a good series. Throne of Glass, like I haven't finished Crescent City, but I'm a Throne of Glass girly, not an Actar girly. I love Throne of Glass. I read X's and O's by Amy Leah. Didn't love this, kind of bored. I wanted the moment character's point of view. There's just nothing about this that stood out to me. 3 stars. Some spice in this book. Then I read Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this 4 stars. Really fun, a good time. This is supposed to be YA, but I don't think it reads as YA. There's no spice, but it definitely reads more adult. Like, there's more adult content. I don't know how to explain it. It just doesn't read YA, but I did enjoy it. It was a good time. Then I read The Duet by Haley Gardner. I love this book so much. I read the entire Falling for Franklin series, The Retreat and The Makeup. The Retreat I gave 4 stars, The Makeup 4.5, and The Duet 5 stars. It's my favorite in the series. I loved it so much. Probably one of my favorite romances of the year. It was so good. Celebrity romance, friends to lovers. Oh, so good. Closed Door as well for all 3 of those. Then I read Signs So Delivered by, oh my gosh, I own her last email and I just didn't show it. I'm a dummy. I read Signs So Delivered by Juliana Smith, 5 stars. I love her books so much. It's the second book after Permanent Last Email, and it's just so good. Closed Door, romance to lovers, great time. Then I read Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. I gave this 4.75 stars, and it's my favorite in the Knock 'Em Out series. Very spicy. Next, we're at September wrap-up. Come on. The dogs have joined us. But next, I read The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I think I read this in a reading blog, my fall one. I didn't love this. I gave it 4 stars, but I probably like bumped it down because there was just nothing special about this book. It was fun, but not my favorite in the series, for sure. Then I read Desire or Defense and Flirtation or Face Off by Leah Brenner, 4 stars. I love these books. They're closed door hockey romances. Highly recommend. Then I read Right on Cue by Fallon Ballard, 4 stars. This is spicy. Love this book until the end. Conflict annoyed me, but it comes out in February, so I had to get these because they're on my husband's shelf. But I read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. So good. 5 stars for both of these. Some of my favorite fantasy books and some of my favorite books of the year. They were so good. I highly recommend this duology. It's YA and it's so good. It's so fun. The Found Family is so good. So I read Can't Help Falling by Courtney Walsh. Didn't love this. 3 stars. Closed door. Then I read Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and I also had this special edition, and it's beautiful. I just need to show you. I love it so much, but I gave this 4.5 stars. I loved it more than Icebreaker, and it was just so cute, so sweet. I loved the one main character, and it's set at a summer camp, so it was just so fun. So, highly recommend. It was so good. It is spicy, as you can imagine, because it's Hannah Grace. Then I read Easy as Pie by Corinna Taylor, also 3 stars, nothing special, but it is closed door. I read Bunny and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. Literally some of my favorite books of the year, of all time, favorite series. 5 stars for both of these. I think I might have given like a 4 point something when I first read them because they're so painful, but now looking back, they're some of my favorite books of all time. I love them so much. Oh, and I have the new covers. They're just beautiful. I had to show you. So 5 stars. There is spice in Keeping 13. There's not spice in Binding 13, but there's profanity and things like that in these books. But they're just so good. They're so emotional and heart-wrenching, but incredible. I love these books so much. They are in the YA section, but they are not YA. And the author said that they're in the YA section because they're about teenagers, so the publisher put them in the YA section. So If you're wondering, I read More Than Just Us by Ali Atosky, one of my favorite books of the year. It comes out in March. My best friend wrote it, and it's so good. Highly recommend you get this when it comes out. It's incredible. It was in my top 10 books of the year. Then I reread The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. Love this book, 5 stars. It's just so wholesome and sweet and cute and happy and rainbows and butterflies. It's so good. It's also closed door. Also, Allie's book is closed door. I don't think I mentioned that before, but it is closed door. Next, we're going into October. First, Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin, 4 stars. Really enjoyed this. It's just a fun fantasy standalone. I feel like you don't find those very often, and I really enjoyed it. It was just a sweet romance. It was also interesting. It reminded me of H2O because it's set around the water. I don't know. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. It's YA and highly recommend. If you're looking for a fantasy standalone, it's very easy to understand. So if you haven't read fantasy before, I think you'd still enjoy that. Then I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Also, I have so many copies. I have the special edition from Barnes & Noble. I love this book so much. It didn't make my top 10 because I don't think about it as much as the others, but I do think this is like probably my top 15 of the year. It was so good, so fun. And I have 3 copies actually, because one came damaged. I got a new one and then I bought the special edition. 5 stars, such a good fantasy romance. It's YA. The banter is incredible. These characters, the male main character, I just love this book so much. And the second one comes out this year. I'm so excited. Then I read The Right Move by Liz Tomford. 5 stars, one of my favorite books of the year. It is spicy, but it's just so good. Then I read Where We Belong by Annette Perkins. 4 stars, a couple spicy scenes. Not my favorite by her, but I still enjoyed it. It's the second book after Where Time Stands Still. Then I read Hopeless by Elsie Silver, the last book in the Justin Spring series. Gave it 2.5, 3 stars. Didn't enjoy it. Was pretty disappointed. And it's very spicy, so. Then I read Whispers of You by Catherine Cowles, 4 stars. I enjoyed it. Had a little spice, but it's a romantic suspense. It's the first book in the Lost and Found series. Really enjoyed it, but not like a favorite. But still, it was a good time. Then I read the Prison Healer trilogy. So I gave the Prison Healer 4.5 stars, the Gilded Cage 4.5 stars, and the Blood Trader 4.75. I probably stand by that. I really love this trilogy. It's YA fantasy, pretty easy to understand. It's so good. I really, really love this. I feel like it's some of my favorite fantasy trilogies. I don't know if I'd give it 5 stars in all. I don't know. I really loved it. It was good. It would be one of my top probably fantasy recommendations. Then I read Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, 5 stars, favorite book of the year. It's so good. Then I read Caught Up by Liz Tomford. Love this book so much. One of my favorites of the year. It's in the Windy City series. It's pretty spicy, but it's so good. I love this book. Then I read the first book in the Natural series called The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. 4 stars, a lot of fun, YA. Really enjoyed it. Then I read Echoes of You by Catherine Cowles, which is the second book after Whispers of You. 3.5 stars. Didn't love this one as much, and it has a little spice. We're into November. I read Saving and Redeeming 6 by Chloe Walsh. These broke me, but they're so good. I love them so much. I think they're my favorites out of the 4. I don't know. I just love this series so much. It's just literally one of my favorite series of all time. So good. There's spice in both of these books. Pretty good bit, I'd say, but I feel like the plot is just so good. It's just worth it. I love it so much. Then I read Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. So much fun. I just was giddy. We were giggling, kicking our feet because I read it with Allie when she came to visit, and I just loved it so much. So highly recommend. It is spicy, but it was just so much fun. It is long, but it doesn't feel super long. I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read Passion and Penalty by Leah Brunner, with the same series that Zara Defense and Flirtation Are Face Off is in. It was really good. Cute, short novella, 4 stars, closed door. Then I read Snowed In by Catherine Walsh, 4.25 stars. Couple spicy scenes. Really enjoyed this. It was a fun holiday read. Then I reread Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. My favorite book of all time, basically. 5 stars, a million stars. Love this so much. There's a couple spicy scenes, but the book is just so good. I annotated it and I just had a blast. It was so good. Then I finished the Natural series. I read Killer Instinct, 4.5 stars. All In, 4.5 stars. Bad Blood, 4 stars. And the novella in this, 12, also 4 stars. These are YA. So much fun. A blast if you haven't read them. Highly recommend. I binged these so quick and they were just so much fun. Criminal Minds, but with teenagers. Really, really good. And I feel like I enjoy it more than the Inheritance Games, maybe? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do my hair up because I'm getting so hot in here. We are almost done, guys. We are almost done. Then I read Season Schemings by Katie Bailey. Love this book, 4 stars. I just love her books. This was no exception. Closed Door, Hockey Romance, Marriage of Convenience. So much fun. Then I read Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I did a whole reading vlog of this. Really enjoyed it, 4.5 stars. I think I loved it more than Better Than the Movies. Maybe not as much as The Do-Over. I don't know, I really enjoyed this. It was a fun YA book. There is profanity in this for some reason, but I did really enjoy it. It was really good. Then I read Risk Worth Taking by Jessica Joyce. 5 stars, one of my favorite books of the year, even though it's a 70-page novella. So good. It has spice in it. A few pages because, you know, it is 70 pages, so it can't have much spice, yeah? Okay, we're in December. Let's do this. Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. 3.5 stars. Didn't love this. I think it has spice. It might be closed door. I can't remember because I didn't love it, but it was a holiday romance that I liked Snowed In more. You With a View by Jessica Joyce. 4 stars. Didn't love this as much as A Risk Worth Taking, but still enjoyed it. And I recommend it. It's a good romance. So there's some like brief aspects of this, and I did have it. I really love her writing. I read Never by Jessica Hastings. Really enjoyed this. Not as much as The Magnolia Parks universe, but there's only 1 book out so far, but I gave it 4.5 stars. A lot of fun, very magical. The characters aren't super likable, but I'm excited to see what she does with the series, and I love her writing so much. So, Sable Peak by Bethany Perry, 4.75 stars. The last book in the evening series. Love this one, probably one of my favorites. Pretty spicy. There's also one spicy scene in Never, like pretty short. And pretty like metaphorical. Just Another Love Song by Carrie Winfrey, 3 stars, didn't love this, closed door. I didn't read these in order, but I'm gonna talk about both of them. I read Letters to the Lost by Virgil Kimmerer, More Than We Can Tell by Virgil Kimmerer. I gave both of these 4 stars, really enjoyed them, emotional YA romances. They're gonna pull at your heartstrings, but I really enjoyed them. Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer, didn't love this, 3 stars, very spicy. Christmas in Quincy by Bethany Perry, 4 stars, I think 1 spicy scene, a good time, a Christmas novella in the Eden series. I'm just gonna talk about these all at once. I read the entire off-campus series. Here we go. The Deal, 5 stars. The Mistake, 4.75 stars. The Score, 5 stars. The Goal, 4.25 stars. The Legacy, 4 stars. One of my favorite series, loved it so much. It's comfort series, comfort characters. So good. One of my favorite series of the year. Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, 4.5 stars. Didn't love it as much as Divine Rivals. Still enjoyed it. YA, no spice. I reread When in Rome by Sarah Adams, 5 stars. Love this book so much, one of my favorites of all time. So good. Closed door. Last book of this video, Come Let Us Adore Him by Paul David Tripp. 4 stars, reread, a good devotional for the Advent season. Whew, God bless. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Nope, I think that's it. That is all the books that I read in 2023. I am so exhausted from talking for so long, and I'm sweating because it's so hot in this room. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I hope this was enjoyable because it took me so long to film, but I love watching these videos and I wanted to do one telling you about the books I read. It'll be fun to look back on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you read in the year or your favorite books of the year. Let me know. But I think that's it. So I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.